Coming this fall from SJS Direct, Easting the Sands of Time. It's action, adventure, and romance in ancient Egypt in this fantasy flashback Easting series adventure. Pre-order Easting the Sands of Time today on Amazon.com. In today's gynocentric work environment, many women and some beta males participate in a behavior called nesting. What is nesting? Nesting is where a man or a woman will go out of their way to turn their workspace into an environment similar to their home environment. And people who nest, what they do is they take their workspace and they turn it into a semblance of their home. Now, people who nest, oftentimes what they'll do is they'll decorate their desk with pictures of their families, or they'll bring home mementos from their home, or they'll go out of their way, if their bosses do not set boundaries, to go out of their way to bring things from home like toaster ovens or big screen TVs, or they'll even, in some cases, even try to have sleeping spaces in their workspace. And with the nesting behavior, it's all about making the workplace comfortable for the employee and not about creating a professional work environment that makes the company productive or appear to be productive. Now, women are primarily the ones who go out of their way to go and nest in the workplace, because when it comes down to women in the workplace, they don't usually go to work to compete, because they get primarily most of their resources from men, like their boyfriends or their husbands. So when they go to work, they're primarily going to work to be comfortable. And because they are oftentimes looking for security in the workplace, they're looking to get their emotional needs met. And part of getting their emotional needs met in the workplace is creating this nest. Now, this nest is a place where they feel comfortable about doing work, and this is a place where they feel comfortable about being in the work environment. Because usually, as it relates to women, it's about a social interaction primarily in the workplace. And because they are primarily social creatures, the nest is part of their whole socialization process. So women will migrate from one nest to the other in the workplace as they're going through the workday. And it's all, again, about being comfortable and getting their emotional needs met. And as it relates to these nests, in most cases, they can impede a company's ability to grow, because if you have too many employees who are nesting, then no one is focused on being competitive, because people who nest, it's all about their comfort, and it's not about competing with other businesses, nor is it about trying to provide quality service to customers and clients, because the whole work environment has been taken over by a group of people who are comfortable about going to work. They're relaxed about going to work, and it's more about the company meeting their needs and not about meeting the customers or the client's needs. And this is one of the big problems when you have too many employees who have a nesting mentality, because they're more about maintaining their nest than about trying to reach out to new customers or new marketplaces, because reaching out to new customers and new marketplaces means that that person has to get up out of their comfortable nest where they have created this very comfortable space where they can relax, and then leave to go out into a world that is extremely uncomfortable. And going out into that world is not something nesting employees like to do, because work for them primarily is a social thing, and because it is a social thing for them, they have no real incentive to go out here and be competitive, because they've got all their creature comforts at work, and they go home to more creature comforts, and they're getting paid to be comfortable, so they don't really feel like they have to do anything to reach new customers and clients and expand the business, nor do they want to go out here and learn new skills. Because when you have an employee who nests, what they do is their skills get soft, they start getting sloppy, and in many cases, when you have a nesting employee, what they do is they plateau. And when you have employees who plateau, what they do is they stagnate the growth of your business. This is why nesting employees are bad for business, because when you have too many employees who build nests in your office or at your company, you're not going to be able to move forward, because what these nests do, like a rat nest or a bird nest, is they clog things like drains, or like the rat's nest, the bird's nest. It just it prevents air from flowing if you have it in a home, or what it does, like if it's in a sewer drain, is prevent water from flowing. So that means that you might want to take the business in a direction, but because you have this employee who has nested and you need this employee to do work for you, this person is not motivated to go out here and take on any new challenges, because they're comfortable in the place that they're in. And that's not very good for your business, because in business, in order to remain competitive, you need employees who are passionate about learning new things, trying new aspects of business, and exploring different aspects of business, and who are open and willing to learn. And people who have a nesting mentality, they don't have a willingness to learn. In most cases, they believe they know everything and that we don't need to know anything different. When it comes down to a nesting employee, they are very set in their ways, and that makes it very next to impossible for anybody to try to take a business into a new direction. Because when it comes down to business, the way people did things maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, that might have worked back then, but business is always evolving and always changing. And if you cannot evolve and adapt and try to learn new things, what you're going to do is wind up being left behind. And when you have too many comfortable employees who have built nests, what they do is they wind up pushing a company backwards. And as the company continues to go backwards, what it does is it starts to decline, it starts to lose market share, and customers stop seeing it as something relevant, because all they see is what you made years ago, and you're still making things like it was many years ago, not understanding that the business marketplace changes, the corporate look of the world changes, and that in order to reach new customers, you have to have employees who are flexible, who are open, and looking to change, adapt, and move forward. And when you have gynocentric work environments filled with women and beta males, in most cases, they are all about nesting. And this is why we have industries like Hollywood, the comic book industry, and television, which are stagnating because they have these people in the business and they're not looking to adapt. They're looking to try to do the exact same things, because in most cases, these people have been here for years, they have nested, they're comfortable, and they don't want to come out of their comfort zone and learn how to do something different. And because they don't want to learn how to do something different, those who have adapted, those who have learned, they are finding new ways to reach customers on platforms like social media, leaving these people behind on the legacy media. And this is what's got many people in the legacy media very frustrated is they don't want to upset their nest, they don't want to upset their apple cart, and they want everything to remain the same. And that's another trait of people who have nesting behaviors. They want everything to remain the same, they want the world to remain smooth. And again, that's just not how the world works, because what you found comfortable 30 years ago, 20 years ago, or even 5 years ago is not going to work today. And that's what I run into a lot with these people who have these nesting mentalities. Because a person who nests, this is a person who is comfortable. And if you have a person who is comfortable in business, that person is just not going to be a competitive person. I mean, if they're not competitive, they're not going to do your business much in terms of anything, because in order for a person to be an asset to a business, they have to show value to that business in ways they can bring customers to a business, open up new markets to a business, or create something innovative that brings people to a business. And people who nest, oftentimes, they're more about what they can get from a business instead of what value they can bring to a business. And many employers, they will sit there and think about what the person has done in the past, and they will think about their emotional connections to them, because in gynocentric work environments, it's all about the emotional value of a person and how they feel about a person, because this is all about like, and it's not about accomplishments. Now, in a environment that's primarily filled with men, it's always about the accomplishments a person has, the goals they have met, and the goals that they have achieved. And that's very important to a business, because you're only as good as your last product, and you can't rely on old products to keep you in business forever. Because I've seen companies like the Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, or A&P, and they went out of business because they could not adapt. They went bankrupt because they went out buying supermarkets instead of trying to find new ways to reach new customers or try to open up markets that appealed to new groups of customers, like the Whole Foods and Fairway. They had Food Emporium, which was a gourmet supermarket. However, it wound up becoming obsolete because they just didn't stay close to the food trends, because they had a lot of comfortable workers who nested. And because they nested, it became more of a generic supermarket instead of remaining a competitive supermarket that reached all those customers who were foodies or people into different gourmet trends. And that was where Whole Foods and Fairway capitalized on things and reached those new markets, because they were focused on reaching those new customers. They had people who had their eye on the ball for different food products, and they had their eye on the ball as related to different tastes, because like the supermarket business and the restaurant business, everything is always changing, so you have to be on the ball with change. And this is something that nesters just can't do, because they have reached that peak in their career where they've gotten the job they always wanted, and now that they've gotten the job they've always wanted, they just want to sit there and wait for retirement. Well, as a guy who understands the world of business, I understand that you just can't reach a spot in your career and just plateau. As a writer myself, I don't want to plateau and say, oh, I just published a novel, so just let me sit here. When I'm out here writing, I know that I have to keep learning and adapting and developing new skills. So, in addition to being a novelist, I am a serial writer. I write books like the ISIS series and the E-Steam series, and I also have written screenplays and teleplays, and I'm always trying to learn different techniques of writing, different styles of writing, and that's how I started learning comic book writing just a couple of months ago. I went from learning scripts to eventually writing my own script, and it's learning how to write those types of scripts, because you have to keep learning different skills. Because over the last 18 years, I have learned various different types of writing. I learned grant and proposal writing back in 2000, and then I took that in addition to the novel writing that I learned back in the 1990s. My sister gave me a book on a screenplay. I started doing screenplays, and then over the last couple of years, I've been studying comic book writing, and eventually I started learning how to write my own comic scripts. So anybody who is out here and they want to be competitive, they're always going to be learning how to do different things, developing new skills, and developing ancillary skills that can help them as well. Because in addition to being a writer, I know that I have to work with computers to write, so I got A+ certification so I could learn how to fix computers in case I had a computer break on me. And now, from just working with my own hands, I know how to work with PCs and Macs. That's another skill I have, is to repair PCs and Macs. So when you have a guy who's always learning and always adapting and learning new skills, that's someone who's going to be an asset to a company, and that's someone you really want to have in your company. You don't want people in a company who nest, because once they build a nest, it's hard to get them to learn new concepts. It's hard to get them to take on new challenges. It's hard to get them to try to work with new customers or new customer groups, or to build relationships with new groups of customers. It's hard to get someone who is a nester to grow, because people who build nests, once they get comfortable in that space, it's hard to get them to move forward to another place. And as they get into that one place, what they do is impede your company's ability to grow, your company's ability to reach those new marketplaces, and their ability to reach new customers. They literally choke the life out of your business. And if you have too much of an emotional attachment to people who nest, like women and beta males do in gynocentric work environments, they literally are the people who wind up putting your business out of business, because it's all about how they feel about things and how comfortable they are, and not about making things comfortable to your customers so that they can go out of their way to feel so satisfied that they want to spread word of mouth for your products and help you and your customer, help your business reach new audiences. If you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the Temptation of John Haynes, the Spinsterella trilogy, or my men's issues books, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.